Dance Dance Danseur is by far one of the most underrated anime that's coming out this next season. While yes, it's getting attention simply because Mappa's the ones animating this, it still isn't getting the attention simply because of the amazing story that has to offer. So before talking about the manga, let's get into a little synopsis. Dance Dance Danseur tells the story of Junpei, a young man who goes to his sister's ballet recital expecting to be bored, but he ends up being moved by the power and grace displayed by the male dancers. Junpei takes up ballet himself, but after his father dies unexpectedly, he decides to become the man of the household and moves on to more traditionally masculine pursuits, such as learning the martial art of Jeet Kune Do. But that all changes one day, however, when a new girl transfers into his class and encourages him to rediscover his love of dance. First, let's go through the art. The art is absolutely fantastic, especially the double spreads throughout the series. There isn't a single page or panel that generally felt underwhelming or lazy to me. It generally impressed me how good this is, but how unpopular this series really is, because the art generally reminds me of Oshinoko's art style, which is personally one of my favorites. But whether you believe it or not, this series has some romance implications. This series is very similar to Welcome to the Ballroom simply because it has a side plot of romance and it has a main plot of ballroom dancing, but in this case it's ballet. And for a series that just has romance as a side plot, this series just generally plays no games. It straight up just throws you into the romance with no warning, because the main character got into a relationship in one chapter alone, and generally there's no fake reveals throughout the whole series. And although yes, it isn't the main focus, it still didn't bother me because it didn't felt super stally or that they're using the relationship for lazy content. Now this series is also mostly labeled as a drama, which personally reminds me a lot of Oshinoko. That's mostly talking about the super intense drama situation and how each mangaka uses it to grow each character. These situations are just bypassed by saying, oh, it happened, oh well. These situations are used to grow the character, and it generally makes it much more enjoyable rather than it just putting in drama to make you feel something. Now this is for the anime only. If you don't want any spoilers from the manga, check out the anime. It releases on April 9th, meaning this Saturday, and I highly recommend this series. So now let's go to the manga I'm going to be covering until chapter 51. Now, the three main characters we get introduced to are pretty damn likable. Yes, you have some moments where you're going to hate Ruou, or you're going to have some moments where you hate Junpei because he's wrong, but every single character in this series, at least the main characters, are super likable. And even the side characters such as Miyako's mom, the Okinawa family, is generally super enjoyable to see these characters in the series. Although there are some moments where you're going to absolutely hate some characters such as Junpei's friends when they started bullying Ruou for literally no reason because he was just a quiet kid, or you're going to hate Ruou simply because he has a vendetta against Junpei at some point. But the 100% genuine thing that I love about this series is that relationships aren't always black and white. That's what I personally love about this series compared to a regular slice of life series where there's tropes throughout a certain series such as Rent a Girlfriend. And it's generally really refreshing to see personalities like these that develop throughout time rather than we're either friends or not. Now in chapter 10, I was slightly shocked because you get the most straightforward fan service I've ever seen in my life. Like literally, this is the most straightforward fan service ever. It wasn't an accident, it wasn't anything else, it was just straight up this. Now Junpei, throughout the beginning of the series, he has this aching belief that he prefers to fit in rather than tell the truth that he wants to pursue ballet. Rather, you see him do a promise with one of his friends that he's going to join a band with him, or oh, I'm going to stick with my soccer club. This aching feeling to fit in is very, very real. And of course, this is a slice of life series, but Junpei to me is probably one of the most realistic main characters that I've seen in a while. Like even in Oshinoko, Aqua is just a bloodthirsty old man stuck in a kid's body. In Rent a Girlfriend, Kazuya is a college student that acts like a 12-year-old. Even in many series, you don't get a main character like this. Now, I probably missed most of the things that happened throughout the series, but I generally love the research that went into this series. For example, in chapter 15, Junpei reveals that he wants to be a danseur noble, which if you don't know what a danseur noble is, it's a male ballet dancer who projected great nobility of character. And over the last century, the term has been used to define a male principal dancer who performs at the highest theatrical level, combining grace with ability. And I think the fact that we don't have a clear goal from Junpei, apart from I want to be a ballet dancer for the first 15 chapters, I think for a lot of people are going to drop it because of this, which I'm just going to say right now, you're probably going to regret it after. And there's one single term that I picked up, generally it was a lot for me. There is a lot of terms throughout this series such as pass. Don Quixote is a type of dance that's actually done. I thought they were talking about the One Piece character for a second. There's no actual name for these arcs, but then after this we get into a little arc called the Swan Lake Play arc. Again, this might not be the actual name, but I just named it myself. And again, the Swan Lake Play is actually a very real thing, as you can see here. And I think any manga that's able to bring more popularity to a certain sport or a certain something, such as Haikyuu did with volleyball, such as Captain Sabusa did with soccer, that's what generally makes me call a manga like this timeless. And then after this, since we already have a clear goal for our main character, we already know his desire when it comes to being in ballet. Throughout most of the series, we just see him developing his skills. And he decides to join Aya Oikawa's class, which is one of the best ballet dancers and most highly acclaimed ballet dancers in history. And again, as far as I know, this is just a fictitious character and isn't based on reality. And throughout the rest of the series, we see him either training or developing his relationship. Such as in chapter 38, we see him revealing his emotions to Miyako, which is the girl that got him back into ballet. And yes, as I stated before, this is the most straightforward series. They got together, which is slightly shocking as a manga reader of Rent-A-Girlfriend and all of these other romances that get super stalled out. And throughout these chapters, most of the students in Aya Oikawa's class are fighting for the SS scholarship, which this scholarship basically says you can be a pro at this point. And with Junpei and Ruou being in the same class, Junpei ends up getting it. And in chapter 43, in my opinion, we get the saddest backstory ever, to the point that this is the first time I've ever seen a manga translator put a trigger warning just in case it could affect anybody. And in these couple chapters, we see Ruou getting abused by his grandma. We see some xenophobia from the grandma, and this backstory generally had me shocked. The fact that this is the cover for the anime makes it feel like it's a little bit of clickbait. And in chapter 51, Junpei cut all ties to his old ballet studio, which is called Godai Ballet Studio, which was also managed by Miyako's mom. Now, Dance Dance Danseur, I know for a fact a lot of people are gonna pass it up. Even for Welcome to the Ballroom, it took a couple years for it to get a little bit of attention that it deserved. But I'm generally telling you that this is a series you do not want to miss, and if you're just a manga reader, at least check out the first 15 chapters. So hope you guys enjoyed. Check out the anime on April 9th or the manga. I don't care, just watch it. You're not gonna regret it. And yeah, deuces!